ॐ सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषाखैः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। श्रीगुरुभ्यो न निरोधो न चोत्पत्ति is over. Now 30 to 34 is the Upasamharam, and 35 to 38 is sadhanas and the results. In this 35 to 38 is sadhana. So until now the Acharya is concluding remarks of the Vaidadhya Prakarana. So he says here, and that is ended actually in this verse, Nanirodho, na chotpatti, na baddho. From which level he is talking? From the highest level. From that level there is no origin, no destruction, na baddhaha, na sadhakaha, all have entered. All those vikalpas have entered. And what is remaining? Na mumukshur navai mukta. I don't have to attain mukti. I am always mukta. Am I bound? I am not at all bound. I am only imagining. That is also another imagination. Understand? Thus, he refutes every argument and says that nothing is ever born. Everything is eva. That is the most important word in Vedanta. As though everything, things are born, as though I have become a jiva, as though. Nothing has really happened. Is what is. If at all you are seeing many things, it is in that Adhishthanam is Paramatma alone. Everything is happening in that. So, they are not different from the Paramatma, they are not the same as Paramatma. Very difficult that is. Neither different nor Sadasad with Vibhinna. Not. Without the Paramatma, all these that you see cannot be there. There is no Adhisthana. Without the rope, you will never see that illusory snake. Real snake you might see. Illusory snake you can't see without a Adhishthanam. If the world is, as it is said here, is illusory, you cannot see an illusory world without a Adhishthanam. And that Adhishthanam is Brahman. So now, can we say this is real or unreal, what we are seeing? Both. You understand? It's real. As far as the Adhishthanam is concerned, it's unreal. The projection is concerned. Neither. That is the beauty of Maya. Akhatita ghatana padiyasi Maya. That which is impossible appears to be possible in Maya. So thus there is a illusory perception around us which we always think is real. Actually speaking, it is neither real nor unreal. It is Brahman itself. That is the whole point here he is going to bring about. It is not different from Brahman. Without Brahman, it has no existence. Is it not? Without ocean, there are no waves, no bubbles, no nothing. Without ocean. Without this Atman, the self, there are no misconception also. Where is the misconception taking place? In that Atman alone. So without Atman, no misconception. So the misconceptions are also Atman only. You are seeing with a ignorant eye. That is all. We can't help you unless you help yourself. So tasmadevam viditva, and she says, 33. 33 is over, Bhavair asadbihi evayam advayena na cha kalpidaha bhava apyadvayena iva tasmad advayada Shiva. So it is better to think Advaita is Shiva. Advaita is auspicious. Everything is because of that. Bhava asadbihi, this Atman is imagined, imagined both as the unreal objects that are perceived and also as the non-dual adhisthana. This whole Atman is imagined both as the non-dual and the duality which is expressing over it. And what is actually the truth? Dvaita, Advaita, Vilakshana, Brahman. Dvaita, Karya, Karana, Vilakshana, Brahman. Similarly, Dvaita, Advaita, Vilakshana. Other than, he said there, now abhi, the unreal objects also cannot exist apart from the non-dual adhishthanam. Brahman is not relative. Brahman is the absolute. Relative thing is what? Advaita word is relative. Why it is relative? With reference to Dvaita. Advaita with reference to Dvaita. So relative. You are a father with reference to your son. Otherwise no father. Fatherhood. No father. Isn't it? I am an ex-father, you can't say. Ex-husband you can say, but not ex-father. So funny this ex word. It always makes me laugh. Ex-MLA goes to the legislative council building and say, I want to sleep here today. But you are not MLA anymore. No, I am ex-MLA. Oh yeah, he says, now here he says this Atman is imagined both as the unreal objects and that are perceived and also as the non-dual Brahman. The objects are imagined in the non-duality itself. Therefore, non-duality is the highest auspiciousness. Shivam. Where did that word come? In the 7th verse. Shivam, Prapanchopashamam, Advaitam, Shantam. All these words Kariga is taking up for telling you what he means by that. Okay. So then, here Gaudapada says that all our imaginations of the unreal world of perceived plurality as well as our philosophical conclusions that the supreme reality is non-dual, both of them are imaginations. That I can't stomach, but Brahman is real. Is it not? How can we say it is an imagination? It's only a concept. What do you mean by imagination? Because It's an intellectual concept. So he says here, in fact, Gurudev says, in fact, to the Supreme Reality, no quality can be attributed. So even non-duality cannot be attributed to. One by one, everything is gone. How do you explain Brahman? Nothing we can say. Okay, Dvaita is mithya. What about Advaita? That is also mithya. The word is mithya. Why? It qualifies. Word is mithya. The reality is not mithya. But the word, which is a relative thing, here they say it is only an indicative definition. Advaita, that word, is only an indicative definition. They cannot define Paramatma. Nothing can define. So here Gurudev says, because the word is relative. Now he says, to define the Supreme in terms of its qualities or properties is to pull it down to the level of a substance. Gurudev had written in very beautifully in this. Please read it. And to define the Supreme would be to make it non-eternal and finite and perishable and changing. So we cannot define it. To define the Supreme as non-dual is only an indicative definition, not an absolute definition, where there is nothing more you can say, that is all. So you say is non-dual. It is non-dual only with reference to the duality perceived, but when we have realized that duality itself is false, the term non-dual has no existence. With reference to the mithya world, you can say it is non-dual. But when you say that world is not at all there, it is only a imaginary perception, then what about non-duality? Then has no existence. Truth of reality is the basis for both the concepts of the non-dual and the plurality. Both are superimposed on that, what is it? Avyapadeshya Atma. What is Atma? Avyapadeshya. You know how Karika is defining that. It cannot be defined at all. You cannot even call it non-dual. You cannot even call it Advaita. So then what is it? Truth. Even that is a word. Now teacher cannot help you, word cannot help you. Nobody can help you. So great masters, they become just silent. How do you define? They can't define. So it is this consciousness in us, is one consciousness or awareness that illumines these two concepts. One is non-dual, one is dual. The duality and the non-duality is illumined for me by my consciousness. You understand? That consciousness or awareness that illumines these two concepts is one and the same. It is this consciousness in us, the divine spark, the life principle in us, which is the eternal, all-pervading reality, where no words go, where the mind cannot enter. Now what you have understood now? Tell me. Nothing. Anybody can explain what is said till now? If you try to explain, then I will say you don't know. Like the Kenopanishad Rishi.
Our explanation can be only pointer again.
It's all pointers. It's all only imaginary. Okay? In other words, what they are trying to tell you is it is not It is an indescribable.
It is beyond our mind, intelligent concept.
Avyapadeshyam, alakshanam, avyapadeshyam. All those words are used. But still again they are also words. Just like non-dual, they are also words. That pure consciousness in which these concepts are all illumined is the truth. Aksharadatido. They were beyond the akshara. So we cannot. Divine spark. And even to describe it this like this is also, you cannot describe the absolute. In short, that is it. It is avyapadeshyam, adrishtam. Everything is said there. Adrishtam, avyavaharyam, alakshanam, avyapadeshyam, shantam. That also said. Shantam, Shivam, Prapanchobashamam, Advaitam. All words. Then why we are using words? Without that, what other instrument is there to teach? See the difficulty even for the teacher. The teacher says, you just be that. Don't want to know what is its name, what is its jadi, what is its guna. It doesn't have jadi, it doesn't have guna, it doesn't have any work also. Karma also is not there. It is at this point you find it very difficult to understand. It is not available for your intellectual jugglery. Not available. Intellect says, shuts its mouth and goes away. What about the mind? Mind also. That I am. Which is that in order to realize the Supreme Self in ourselves, we have first of all to withdraw our wandering attentions from the pluralistic world of phenomena. And the first step on this pilgrimage to truth would naturally be to understand for ourselves that as contrasted with the plurality that is perceived through the senses and the mind, there is in fact behind it all one non-dual reality. Again, that non-dual reality also you have to go beyond. When we have come up to this idea, the mind that is perceiving the oneness has become almost not there. Rudimentary means it is not there at all, very little. Mano nasham, in Ramana's language, mano nasham has taken place. Mano nasham means there are not even a whiff of thought. That means in that utter silence you realize what we are talking about. It is not to be gained from the book. This is all we can say. It cannot be gained from the book knowledge. However much knowledge you have, still you may be outside the purview of the Atman. So here teacher says, in oneness has become almost rudimentary. Mano nasham has taken place in its own pursuit. It volatilizes itself, and when it has once ended, what remains is the realm of the experience of reality. What remains then? What you are experiencing in the absence of all thoughts is the reality. Reality also is one word. Is that, we will say. Okay? That is an accepted word. That. Tad. Is it a man or woman? No. Na stri, na puman, na pumsaka. Upanishad says. Na stri. It is not a woman, it is not a man, it is not a father, it is not a whatever, son. Nothing. Understand this? Brahman, when we say it is Nabumsakalingam actually. But is it Nabumsa? No. It has no gender. In whatever you are experiencing in the absence of thoughts, when Manonasham has taken place, that is the reality. Each one will say in different ways what they have experienced. So, you can never explain the inexplicable. Give a dimension to the dimensionless truth. And we blame the teacher. She didn't explain well today. I didn't understand anything. Not the teacher's fault. The subject is like that. Only that which is there in the world of BMIO, PFT, we can explain. That which is going beyond this, how can we explain? Okay. It's a very beautiful verse which you have to go on again and again, read and think about it. Both these verses together will give you somewhat the picture of Atman in your mind. You will experience it in deep moments of meditation. You understand? However much you read, you cannot understand what knowledge you are talking about if you cannot read from the book. It has to be read from the book of life in yourself. Then you will understand it. Okay, it's very misinterpretation of the mind, and now he says, what is then the relationship between the Atman and the world of objects? No relation. Gurudev has coined a word which cannot be beaten by anybody. That is relationless relationship. That relationship has no relationship. Can we say it has no relationship? That also we cannot say. Can we say it has relationship? That also. So what do you say? Relationless relationship. Yes. When you try to define this avyapadeshya vastu, this is what we will end up with. Cannot be defined. Okay, the world or plurality is in Brahman. Now he asks another question. Natma bhavena nanedam nasvena bhikatanchana napradang kinjit idi tattva vido viduhu na atma bhavena nanedam. This manifold nanatva that you see, this manifoldness that you see around you does not exist. Na atma bhavena. Identified with Atman, it doesn't exist. Na svena apikata. So what he is trying to say is this plurality does not exist as identified with the Atman. Atman is the adhishtanam. Plurality is a superficial illusion. Is it not? Superficial illusion. Does it have any connection between the two? Yes, there is some connection. Without that Atma Bhava, it cannot exist. Existence is lent to these mithya vastus by the Atman. You understand? But because then do you think that these mithya bhavas can exist by themselves, independent existence? That's also not. Nakinchit, nor can it remain ever independently of itself. Without that adhishtanam, nothing will be born, nothing will be there. Is it not? Existence is not there. So the adhishtanam and what is superimposed on the adhishtanam has a relationship. You understand? But that relationship is also questionable. Here he says, the delusory, unreal serpent cannot exist apart from the rope. Suppose there was no rope, then you have not seen a elephant. The rope is not the serpent, nor the serpent the rope. And yet the serpent cannot remain without the rope. That's rope. That serpent you have seen, the rope should be there. So you can say the rope is not the serpent, and hence there is no relationship. But the teacher says, but the serpent cannot remain. I am seeing only the serpent, you cannot say. Without that rope, you cannot see the serpent. Without the adhishtanam, you will not see the manifold world. So, how do I understand this, my God? My ordinary brain is not sufficient. That is all I can say. And yet the serpent cannot remain without the rope. In fact, the serpent is nothing but the rope. Is it not? See how many things are there. The rope is not the serpent. The serpent cannot be without the rope. In fact, the rope is the serpent. So the teacher and the student blinks at each other. That is all. Confusion. In the 9th chapter. Astani sarva bhudani nachaham teshu. I am not in them, they are all in me. Like that, Bhagavan says in the 9th chapter. They are all in me, I am the adhisthanam. So all they, but I am not in their stupidity. like that only Gurudev will explain. And their stupid joys and sorrow. I am not in them. They are in me. Everything is happening in me, the adhishtanam. But I am not in their sorrows and joys.
They can say they are not in me.
And the second. If from another angle, they are not even in me. They are only misconceptions. They are only vikalpas. That is the meaning of the second verse. Okay. Oh, really, what you are talking about? They are manifold. They are not in me either. If you are seeing, they are in me only, you can see. If you understand, if you have realized, they are not in me. I alone am there. Nothing else is there. I have given up all hope of realization today. Like that you will be thinking. If this is the way going to realize, I don't have no chance. And I am reading Gurudev because so logically he has written beautifully. Similarly, the pluralistic world is nothing but the reality, and yet the world is not real. The reality is not the world. At the same time, the world is the reality, but reality is not the world. At the same time, the multiple universe cannot have any existence without the reality behind it, or adhishtanam. Adhishtanam does not mean that, somebody is supporting in the temples and all, you see, that one man, one Bhutakana is supporting the temple like this. He is supporting it. He is not supporting. Madhuri, don't get that idea. Brahman is supporting this universe like Hercules. Like the gold supports all the ornaments that are made in this world. Like all the waves in all the 7 oceans are supported by the waters of the ocean. Like that. It's not a 2-layered cake. One layer, black layer, white layer, pink layer, like that. Not like that. He is not underneath. Now all of you got the idea. Brahman is underneath and the world is over. Yes or no? That's not the way to imagine. Brahman is the warp and woof of whatever you are seeing. In and through everything you see, Brahman alone is there. That is what is meant by support. The rope supports the serpent. Really? No, not really. But anyway, here the pluralistic world of phenomena is indicated by a beautiful expression which cannot be replaced. Idam. Idam, 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 idam. This. The world that is recognized by you and me by the word idam. This table, this mic, these students, like that. This. And what are you? Not only the world outside me, the objective world around me is recognized as this. Even body, this body. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetramityabhidiyate. Idam shariram. So even my own body is this. You understand? This body. Now this body, now see I saw one with reference to that TV. That TV. My body is this, that, with reference to that, a thing which is far away. Then with reference to that, this body we say. With reference to this body, I am Atma, this Atma. Atma is this, and now that body. You understand? This Atma, that body. And like that you will reach some place where you have to stop. That this which will never become that. That is it. This which will never become that. All other things, including your body, mind and intellect, will become that with reference to the center in you, the core of you. With reference to that, now there is nothing more you can take it. So you say, this Atman. I am Atma, Brahma. I am and idam. These are the 2 words used in this. I am means subject, this I am. And idam means object. Object, this, also that. Whatever it is object, it is idam. This flower, this house, this tree. Like that only we recognize this world. This. Idantaya. That word is used in the Upanishad. Idantaya. This. But there is one thing which will never become that. Everything else will become that. But not the Atman, which is I am. This. Always remain this, which will never become that. That's what Gurudev says. Is indicated, the phenomenal world is indicated by the term this. All that we can perceive as this and gain thereby a knowledge of them belong to the world of objects. Now, thus whatever we can perceive as this or that would certainly fall under the category of world of objects. And he says it will never become, but even this body, this idea, this ignorance in me are all indeed unreal, thus belonging to the world of objects. So what is not unreal? Unreal is whoever is the seer of everything. That is not unreal. That is always there. And that's why we, in the absence of any explanation, we say it will never become that. Hence the Upanishad says, in this Upanishad only we have seen, I am Atma. I am is the subject I. Idam is the object, this, idantaya. Okay. An honest seeker of the self, diligently pursuing to discover the reality without its matter envelopments, must necessarily come to discard even the mind and intellect as mere delusions, and thus proceed to rediscover the self. From the platform of which, when he views out in the world of phenomena, there can be nothing but the self which is visible for him everywhere. So that is called, that understanding, that vision that is granted to you by the all-merciful Lord is called Samyak Drishti, the true darshan. I am going for darshan of the Lord. First you have darshan of Him within you and in the world. Then you can go to any temple and everywhere you see. There is no place where He is not there. Where I am not there. Not He. He is not there, you will make duality. Where I am not there. I am everywhere. What a status. All pervading. Because thus here he says that in this reality there is no pluralistic phenomenal world, and that such an absolute state of perfection can be reached in the repeated assertion of all the great seers of the world. It is interesting to note here that himself a great master, established in his own personal experience, Gaudapada does not himself declare that it is personal experience, but he says the wise people say so. And who are the wise people? His masters have said so. No teacher in Vedantic literature own anything to his own mental or intellectual ability. Great people have said, before me, I am only repeating what they have said. That is the attitude. So, we have already noticed here that no philosophy can be accepted merely because it is the philosopher's personal experience. True to the great tradition of the Hindu scriptures, Gaudapada here is not asserting that it is his own experience, but he is quoting only his own great masters. So now, whatever, till here, if you have come with me, I don't know whether you have come with me, but if you have come with me, there is every hope that one day you will realize. If you have not come with me, somewhere you have dropped out. Then again you have to make an effort. You understand this? Again you have to do sadhana. Don't say, no, sadhana and all are not necessary. Gaudapada himself said. Only to those who had understood all that he said. To them sadhana is not. Because they have already realized. But to others sadhana is required. I am sure all of you require, including myself. So we will do some sadhana now. How to reach in that state of pure consciousness. Pure means not conscious of things. I am conscious of many things in the Western, all the Mithya world. And what I am conscious of, the Mithya world. And not that, we are talking about not conscious of, which is called impure knowledge. But the very consciousness, in the light of which everything becomes illumined for me. The sun and the moon and the stars and the akasha, everything becomes illumined because of the light of consciousness that is in the very center of me. Okay. What a wonder it is. Every day we are seeing so many things and we are conscious of anything. But about consciousness we are ignorant and we are asleep to it. Every day we are aware. That is why we say always live in awarefulness, always live in consciousness. We say conscious living must be practiced. That's the greatest sadhana. How am I seeing this? I am aware of it. Not only I am aware of the varied, manifold objects of the world, I am also aware of myself. Self-awareness must come. So one teacher used to say, what is the meditation? Meditation is the self is becoming aware of itself. That is called meditation. Self is aware of itself. It is both aware of itself and aware of all the objects in the world. This self-awareness is called really the end of meditation. The sun can illumine itself, the sun can illumine the whole world the same way. I have consciousness in which I am conscious of myself, I am conscious of all the objects in the world. That is said there. And what are the sadhanas? He says, which we have heard so many times and it is not difficult. When you come down to our level, we feel comfortable. Is it not? The moment you go a little higher, you look at me with a suspicion. Like Gurudev says, longer the beard, the greater the suspicion. Like that. But since I don't have beard, that becomes also one suspicion. I don't know. Okay. Vitaraga bhaya krodhair munibhir veda paragaihi nirvikalpo hyayam drishtaha prapanchopashamodvayaha. Now, what are the sadhanas? Siddhasya lakshanani, sadhagasya sadhanani. What siddha lakshanam? The great men of realization, what is their lakshanam? How do you know they are realized? Not by looking, they don't grow on some horn and all that, tail or anything like that. No. Then how do you make out? By their reactions to the world I can make out. Vitaraga bhaya krodha. There is no krodha in them, there is no bhaya in them, there is no raga in them. Because they are all interchangeable. If you have got raga, you will get krodha. Is it not? Suppose somebody had taken what actually belongs to you, then you really get angry. Krodha comes. And sometimes fear comes. This is very precious to me. Suppose somebody steals it in the night. You get fear. All of them. The Jivan Mukta, if you read Jivan Mukta Lahiri, he just goes around like air is going, no problem at all. In Malayalam we say, Madil khana undengil vazhiyil bhayam. If your wallet is full, Madil khana, then in the way you are afraid. Suppose nothing is there, you are not at all afraid. Anybody can catch you also, nothing they will get. They will give you some money and go away. There are cases when Mahatmas are assaulted by robbers, and they found they don't have anything at all except one kamandalu. What to do with such a person? So they keep some food and some money for poor man.
How much they need 2 days?
Huh?
One Maharaj was spent by robbers for 2 days.
They don't mind. They'll eat from anybody. You understand? So the bhayam comes only because we have possessions. That is why. Or we have something very precious, we are attached to something, and that something will go. Then we are afraid. Raga, bhaya, krodaha. Vida means vikataha. Vigata, gone. What is gone? Bhaya, raga and krodha. Munibhir Vedaparagaihi, great seers of the old, who are without attachment, fear and anger, who are deeply Muni. Muni means who are deeply learned and Mananashilavan. Mananashilavan, always thinking about the truth. Munibhihi Vedaparagaihi, or well-versed or well-read, are these munis. These three emotions have left such a great seer. And then what happens? Nirvikalpo hayam drishtaha. And they see that nirvikalpa aham. Nirvikalpa aham means without any extension. Nirvikalpa means no extension. I, who are always living as I, Nirvikalpa. Now don't say that who is in Nirvikalpa Samadhi and all. That is not the meaning there. The meaning there is what? There are two types of I. Nirvikalpaham, Savikalpa. The Savikalpaham is I with all qualities. I am a happy man, I am a rich man, I am a whatever qualities you associate with yourself. I am a very learned man, etc., etc. But all those are dropped by these munis who have understood the truth above all. And what will be their attitude? I. That is called Nirvikalpa Aham. In fact, Aham is another word for Om. Why tell me? A is the first word. Is the last word. Like in Om. Only thing is Yara Lava Shasha Saha. Ha is added in the last but one word. Okay. So Aham Grahopasana. There is an upasana called Aham Grahopasana. No? Aham. That Aham is nothing but Nirvikalpa Aham. I am. So Ramana Maharshi says in the Upadeshasara that you come to the I thought. Then the thought of which comes from the I, Savikalpa. Drop it. Then what remains is only Nirvikalpa Aham. I is common to all of us, is it not? If I say, who is there? Anybody who knocks at that door will say, I. Who are I? Who is I? We ask, is it not? Then the next person comes and he says, who is there at the door? I. Everybody is I only. I is Nirvikalpa. Hence Ramana Maharshi says, Hridaya Kuhara Madhye Kevalam Brahma Matram Aham Idi Sakshad Atma Rubena Bhadi. That Aham. Not with a name and form. Not with all types of qualifications. You don't know me? Some people ask that question. You don't know me. You have not seen me. No. You say, I am the great film star. I am the great politician. Something like that, some rubbish they say. No, that is not your true identity. That is a superimposed identity. One who has no mask whatsoever. Who is a Nirvikalpaham means? One without any masks. Do you know you are wearing so many masks now? Is it not? You are a mother, one mask. You are a daughter, another mask. You are a grandmother, another mask. And you are a teacher, another mask. Are you a teacher? I am a son, another mask. What are you, son or father? Don't know. In one way I am son, in one way I am the father of my son and son of my father. So what are you? Father or son? Shivam used to say, I am. Bas. That's what he says. That is auspicious. So that Nirvikalpaham. And the Vika is the Vika. Vika never uses any verb or anything. Nirvikalpaham realizes the real I without any shade of imagination, without any extension. He realizes his true nature. Aham drishtaha. And seeing that aham, that nirvikalpa aham, what will happen to you? Prabanja upashamam. Prabanja upashama, where it came in the Vaidadhya Prakaranam? In the beginning, in the 7th verse. Prabanja upashamam. To that man who had seen the Absolute in himself, by himself. Atmanyeva atmana tushtaha. Sthita prajnasthadotyade. He never again sees this world. Do you mean to say he never sees? He sees. Ajnasya vijnasya ja vishwamasti. Ramana says Ajna, the ignorant fellow also has the Vishwam, and the realized man also sees the Vishwam. But he knows it is only a Maya. I am not going to be carried away by it. It's only a misconception. Mithya. You understand? He knows the truth of it. Like the baby who sees the, wooden elephant and gets frightened. Because it doesn't know it is not an elephant but a mere wood. It doesn't know. So it starts crying, Papa, take me away from me. Oh, I am getting frightened. Like that it will shout. You understand? But Papa will laugh. Why? He knows it is only not an elephant but a wooden elephant. So he says, come baby, you touch and see. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't even shake its ears, which usually they do. You know? And you make the child touch. So some 10 times you make it touch that wooden elephant, then the baby is no longer afraid because it is. So also the teacher or whoever is teaching you takes you to that reality, and once you have understood the reality, what is this all? I'm saying, all mithya world, an appearance, not afraid. Once you see the rope, are you afraid of the snake? Some other snake you are afraid, okay? But are you afraid of the snake which you have seen on the rope? 10 times you see the rope, snake also, you are not afraid because you understood it is a mere harmless rope. No longer I am afraid. Having drishtva prapanja upashamam. All the fear, all the prapancha, the samsaric sorrows come to an end. They are merely imaginary things. Thereafter, you live in peace, shantam shivam advaitam. Satma savijneyaha. That is Atma. So don't say, I'll get from that teacher or this teacher. Nothing doing, no teacher can give you that. If I tell you the truth, you have to believe me. No teacher. Many teachers are there who will cheat you, not teach you. And what will they say? You bring so much money, so much of this thing, that thing, and one mundu and everything. I will give you upatesham and you will realize, no. You will realize when you see this ultimate which is seated in you. Param drishtva nivartade. Having seen the highest, every misconception leaves your mind. You revel in that jnana. What can I say? In that jnanam you revel. Atma Ramaha. He is called Atma Rama. He revels in himself. Tushtaha. Atmaneva Atmana Tushtaha. Why did he say that in that Gita verse? Is no other thing is required to make him happy. His happiness does not depend on these mithya objects. His happiness depends on the very source of all happiness, that is the Atman. Each word is chosen with great thought. So then, nirvikalpaha, that which is non-dual, our one essence. Also we said, they said there, advayaha. And there is no one essence, it is that which is, what is it? Prapanchobashamam egatma pratyasaram. That is pointed out by the word advaya. This Atman you apprehend. Your time is out. Now how many verses are there? We can take it. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Hari Om.